That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
100% real, raw, and uncut. Deadass.
Welcome to another episode of That's What I Said with Cedric Sanders. Giving you 100% authentic, real, raw, unapologetic truth with no filters. This broadcast starts now.
What up? It's the day after Juneteenth. Couple days after Father's Day. What's good, peoples?
What's good? Thanks for tapping in and tuning in. It's another episode.
Another episode of That's What I Said, live and direct. Y'all know what it is. And tonight is going to be very, very interesting, I should say the least. It's gonna
it's gonna be interesting.
I have to say that for the simple fact that it's yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. I'll just say that. I'm not gonna ruin.
Can't give away too much.
Yeah, I can't give away too much, but it's gonna definitely be interesting. So y'all saw the topic. Y'all saw what it is. It's gonna be one of those conversations that is a conversation for some, uncomfortable for many others, much needed to have. But tonight we're talking about Emancipation Echoes, the power of Juneteenth, what it is and what it's not. And the reason why I say what it is and what it's not, because a lot of people since this day and age of social media have voiced their opinion about Juneteenth, saying, you know, why do black people have a holiday? Why do they have a federal holiday that basically reminds people that something that people already know? African Americans were slaves here. Or I should say Africans, because we weren't Americans at that point. We were just slaves. And there's a lot, I think, that needs to be talked about when it comes to this, because, I mean, I have my own opinions about it. Of course, Candace Owens has her own opinion about it. And a lot of other people have their opinion about it. A lot of people have their opinion in the sense to where they feel that, you know, Juneteenth is ghetto, in the words of Candace Owens and so many other people. You know, if you are conservative and have that opinion, so be it. You know, I'm not shooting shots at Candace Owens. You know, if you support her, then you do. But I don't think it's ghetto. I don't think it is something that should be forgotten. Plus, I don't think it's something that should be taken for granted. However, in creating a federal holiday for Juneteenth, was it hush money? I mean, let's talk about it. Was it hush money? Was it a way for government to say, we'll give them a federal holiday and that'll hold them over for a while? Let me sip my tea.
Right, because where in are things being done in the education system with this? Because I believe wholeheartedly when I was going through school, this was not talked about.
It wasn't known.
It was not talked about in any history class or anything like that that I ever recall. I could be very wrong, only because age is prevailing me right now. However, comma, I do not recall learning about Juneteenth in school, going through the education system.
I will say this. Juneteenth, for me, in Kansas City, Missouri, was always recognized. You know, they had some type of concert, or they had some kind of, you know, a cookout at the park or whatever, and you can go out there and listen to music and free food, you know, be able to just talk to people and fellowship and just be just around a lot of Black people that loved on each other and celebrated each other. But in the days and times that we live in, the times of parades, picnics, and historical reenactments and things of that nature are being forgotten because people have this public disdainment for Black people and have the ability to be able to voice it and it not be something that, you know, is, to me, is disrespectful. But at the same time, it's like, it's okay to celebrate Independence Day when everybody wants to say, oh, Juneteenth's a made-up holiday. Independence Day is a made-up holiday. And I served this country for 20 years. Independence Day is a made-up holiday, just like Thanksgiving, Easter, and a whole bunch of other shit. Independence Day is made up. How the fuck are you going to have Independence Day, the day you took over a fucking country, basically killed the people on it and took it over? And then when the people that owned the land tried to take it back, you was like, no, we're going to fight for this. Fought, won, and now you claiming Independence Day for some land that don't belong to you. Sip my drink and shut the fuck up. I don't understand why it's so hard to accept what people did to Black people during slavery, and why it's so hard to have this conversation so that people can educate themselves and understand the reason why Juneteenth is Juneteenth.
I don't think people want to be educated. I don't think
at this
people
point,
want
I believe
to
you
know what really and truly happened to African Americans. I really truly believe in my own heart is that the education and the understanding and the truth behind what occurred back in the 1800s, I don't believe people really want to dig deep and have the knowledge set.
Well, I did some digging, so I'll do the digging for everybody. So originally, people, this is taught in school. The Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st, 1863, that was something that was taught to everybody. This is when President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation that was supposed to end slavery. I say supposed because it didn't.
Right.
It didn't. It was not something that was...
The communication wasn't
well, yeah, the
proactive.
communication wasn't there. The way that news traveled back then was hell. I mean, it
carrier pigeon.
It was like, yeah, a fucking carrier pigeon and a blind rat. I mean, I don't know. It was not the way news travels today.
Oh, absolutely.
You can post something on Facebook and everybody in the world knows about it.
Right. Exactly. It goes viral as soon as you post it.
Right. So I think the damaging factor in this whole equation with Juneteenth is people have this distaste or this disdainment of Black people. I'm not going to blame it on a president. I'm not going to blame it on an organization. I'm not going to blame it on anything. I'm just going to simply say that it was allowed to happen. It's been happening, and it was continuously allowed to happen to where we are today, where Black people are feeling like they have to voice not just their freedom and their acceptance and to belong where we belong. It's all about how people see black people. And it's not about what the news puts out. A lot of it is not even just the news. A lot of it is just how people are brought up.
I was just about to say it's how people were raised.
It's taught behavior.
It's programmed behavior. Exactly.
And it's hard to unteach bad behavior when people don't want to be untaught.
Right.
And I feel a way about it. And the reason why I feel a way about it is because some people will always have this this ability to make it seem like, you know, black people are always trying to one up on something. They're always trying to do this, always trying to do this. And it's like, we didn't ask to fucking come over here and be slaves.
Right.
We didn't ask to get our fucking ass whooped, have our women raped, have people, you know, get treated the way they were treated. We didn't ask for that shit. If that was the case, Juneteenth wouldn't even be a federal holiday. And the reason why I say it's hush money is because the pressure was on the government due to two incidences. There was way more incidences besides these two. But two major incidents happened that made government say, we need to do something so that not only are black people recognized and they have a federal holiday to recognize the events, their freedom, exactly. Because it's a celebration.
Right. They should be celebrated.
And we should be celebrating. The problem is not everybody's recognizing the holiday. If that's the case, we shouldn't recognize Independence Day, Christmas, Veterans Day, all these other days that people believe are made up. And I have a problem with that because we should be able to recognize our fallen soldiers. We should be able to recognize our people that protect our nation, you know, through an oath, or not even just through an oath, just because they want to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We should be able to celebrate those people.
Right.
We should be able to celebrate people because of their sacrifice they give to this country that doesn't sacrifice shit for them. Our veterans get treated like shit, not just the black ones.
All veterans.
All
get treated
veterans.
like shit. And I will have that moment as well, because it is the honest to God's truth. Our veterans do get treated like shit. And it's a very unfortunate circumstance. It really is.
It is. It really is. So Juneteenth, a lot of people don't know this, but yeah, Emancipation Proclamation was signed January 1st, 1863. And the problem with that is that Juneteenth is celebrated June 19th. It was signed into legislation and it's made into a federal holiday, you know, for June 19th, 2021. President Biden signed that. And people will say, well, okay, what happened in June 19th of the said date that's being recognized? Well, June 19th of 1865, which was 158 years ago, enslaved people was able to celebrate their freedom. 2.5 years after President Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. 2.5 years. Now, going forward, in today's age, when the law is put in, when the president signs something into law, when the president says, oh, this is going to be a federal holiday, this is going to be recognized federal holiday.
It's immediate.
It's immediate. It happens immediately. Not back then. So it began to change the culture of how black people not only see themselves, but how they were recognized, or not even just recognized, how they were seen. in the United States. Hell, worldwide at that point.
Yeah.
So it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. And just for it to be a highlight and, basically a highlight and increasing the recognition of Juneteenth is something that needs to happen.
Say the recognition of it finally going into effect.
I mean, it's increasing I think it's increasing its recognition due to the fact that it's now considered a national holiday.
Right. But my goodness, why wasn't it recognized every year from the date?
As a national holiday, or just how come it wasn't recognized? It was never going to be recognized.
I mean, on both parts, because it should have been.
I agree.
It should have been. That was huge. Huge.
I just think the empathy that people have has nothing to do with black people. Has absolutely nothing to do with black people. Regardless of how people see black people and how people see it as a holiday. People don't recognize Juneteenth. There's places that were open. Last time I checked, when it was a federal holiday, you don't even get mail on that day. Did we get mail yesterday?
No.
We didn't get mail yesterday.
No.
So the post office was actually closed yesterday.
Yes.
Imagine that. Because people on social media was saying, my husband didn't take off. He went straight to work. He's like, fuck Juneteenth. Well,
I do know there are some places, businesses or whatever, because they're open 24/7, gas stations and
well, yeah, that's
those,
yeah.
and some grocery stores,
right,
and whatnot, because they don't celebrate all holidays, only certain ones, because they're a big industry. They can't afford to shut down completely, and
I mean, from a business aspect, no, a lot of them
Right.
can't shut down. Yeah, because
Right.
they'll lose money. Yeah, I get
but
that.
all federal owned businesses were closed yesterday. So that means banks, post office, the government. But there are some businesses out there that, whether it be small or part of a chain, they do recognize it and they do shut down. But like you said, not all businesses were closed.
So I'm gonna tell you this. This is how things got completely screwed up here in the United States. So the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, right? January 1st. And I know I've said this many a times, but the reason why Juneteenth gets its name is because June 19th of 1865, there was a major general named Gordon Granger. And he was an army officer and Union general during the Civil War. He basically issued an order in Galveston, Texas, and I'm coming back to Texas here shortly, announcing that all slaves were free under the Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed 2.5 years ago. Guess how many enslaved black people were in Texas at that time?
Justin.
And they were the last ones in the whole country
Just in Texas?
that received notice of the proclamation. The last slaved black people in the whole country, they were the last ones to get the word.
It had to be
250,000. I'll leave the guesses alone.
I was going to say over 100,000.
No,
at least.
it was over 250,000.
Wow.
So
That's ridiculous. Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
it further states that, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of Senate, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then there henceforward and forever free. It could not be implemented in all areas of Confederate control before the end of the Civil War in April of 1865. Now,
So
this is
from
all
April-
detailed and written in the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C.
So from April till June, it took for them to get to Texas to tell those folks they were finally free.
But get this.
What the?
Noting slavery still would not be abolished nationwide until the 13th Amendment was ratified in December of that same year. So technically speaking, they still had slaves in certain states until that 13th Amendment was signed.
That's foul.
Absolutely.
That's foul. Wow. But yet they don't teach this in our education system.
They're not going to.
And they're wrong for that.
I mean, for years,
They're wrong for that.
well, for years, states declared as a state holiday before it was nationally, before it became a national holiday. States had already considered it a holiday. So it's like, Juneteenth was considered a national holiday only in Texas. But then Maine came around, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, they all passed laws in, in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
To
To
recognize it. Absolutely. So people don't realize this. The reason why Juneteenth is a holiday is because in 2020, we had the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Rashard Brooks, and a lot of other black people that were killed by the hands of white officers, police officers. Now, because of legislation and because of protests and things of that nature.
I was just about to say the protesters, they're the ones that made a stamp on that.
Definitely. It put pressure on the government to the point where they were like, okay, we need to do something. This needs to be a nationally recognized holiday.
Something needs to be done. Yeah.
So that people can be educated. But see, here's the thing that continues to spit on you. Florida, of course, is coming up with bipartisan laws to take the education of Black history out of colleges and schools altogether.
Excuse me, what?
Guess what the next state that is coming up with this bullshit? The very state
where
that damn general announced to the slaves
that they were free.
In Texas.
That
so
blows me away.
One of the original states that recognized Juneteenth as a holiday is fighting to have Black history taken out of all schools. So you mean to tell me this is a national holiday, however,
I'm baffled because Texas always celebrated and shut down for Juneteenth.
I mean, they pretty much have done a lot when it came to celebrating African Americans, Black people, Africans, however you want to put it.
But now they want to, man, what in the entire hell is going on?
But you got to look at it too. A lot of what was going on in Texas, it was kept alive by Black Americans. It was kept alive by Black people. Period.
Yeah.
Nobody outside of Black people is gonna keep Juneteenth alive.
You're right.
And I think for me, it's not about turning up all the Black music in my house and celebrating Juneteenth because I'm free. No, it's about thinking back into those days of what those people dealt with.
Right. Exactly.
And just to get the news,
their life.
Right. And just to get the news that you're not slaves no more. You don't have to work for somebody and not get paid. You don't have to be owned by the white man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be owned by a slave owner.
Right.
And the problem we have in today's age is that nobody feels we're given a fair shake at shit. I shouldn't feel nervous driving down my own fucking street where I bought my house and a police car pulls up to my house. I shouldn't feel nervous. I shouldn't feel scared.
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel harassed. I shouldn't feel, racially profiled.
Right. You should be
I'm
able to be
I'm a
anywhere
fucking
in the
military
world.
veteran. I shouldn't have to say that as a safe zone for a police officer to leave me the fuck alone. I shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's bringing up a lot of anxiety that I just choose not to even deal with, just for the simple fact that I should not have to deal with this shit as a black man that's free in this fucking country and served 20 years in the Navy.
Yeah.
I just, I have a bad taste in my mouth when people feel pressured to create a national holiday because the police, the white police officers, let me do this, are doing the same shit they were doing to us back in the 60s and 70s, and even earlier than that. It's just...
And it's not all.
It's not all. Let me just say that it's not all. It's not all.
But there
It
are some.
It definitely is not all.
But there are some.
There's some, but they're definitely not all. Okay.
Right.
I just
But I think it was how they were raised as to why they do what they do today.
it's the organizations that they are part of. It has nothing to do. I think it has a lot to do with their race, yes, but I think it also has to deal with what they believe in and what they're continuously being taught, even to this day. I mean, it would take nothing for me to go down the street and a truck with a Confederate flag to roll by and say some racial slurs to me, and I could be outside with 3 other black people and 5 other white people, and the only people gonna be offended those 3 black people, while those 5 white people are sitting there staring at us like, what the fuck are you gonna do now? They may react. They may have some disdainment and say that's nasty or I would never do that. They may do that. Some may do that. Not all.
Yeah.
But people have made it okay to disrespect black people as much as we are trying to do, not just for our country, just for ourselves. Yet.
Right. You're just trying to live.
I don't know. It's.
I mean, in reality, y'all are just trying to live.
It's not even just that we're trying to live. We're not even just trying to be accepted. It's the fact that we are fucking people too.
Exactly. We are all humans. It does not matter the color of your skin, people. Come on. We are in 2023.
It don't matter.
We have got to push past this.
It don't matter.
You
It really
have
doesn't.
to push past it.
It doesn't matter to people. And the reason why it doesn't matter to people is because we don't matter. And when we actually matter, that's when shit will change. We have to matter to ourselves. We have to matter to ourselves where we're not killing each other and being the topic of the fucking,
every time
the 10 o'clock news.
Every time the news comes on.
We got to stop being the headline topic of the 10 o'clock news. No, it's not taking away from Juneteenth, but guess what? This is what prevents us from being able to carefully celebrate something that we should be able to celebrate because we're free. We are free to be able to do the things that normal people do, but the shit we're doing to ourselves is not fucking normal. It's not. It's not, to me, it's not even mental illness. This shit right here that they doing right here is some other shit.
Yeah, it's beyond that scope. It is.
It's getting to the point where it's not even a conversation that people want to hear. People have popped in and out of my life, and I don't give a shit. I'm not expecting people to stay and hear this conversation because everybody has their own well-being and disdainment when it comes to this conversation. They just don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the acknowledgement of this is bullshit. I want to be able to celebrate Juneteenth because the country can understand what Juneteenth is. We shouldn't be able to just sit around and celebrate Independence Day without people just not understanding what fuck Independence Day is. But when you understand what Independence Day is, are you going to celebrate it? No, not because of a religion.
No, because
No,
of the history.
Because of the history, exactly. Not because of a religion, because of history.
History.
People want to sit there. I don't celebrate these holidays because, I'm this, I'm that. Man, shut the fuck up. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit.
And there are people in the world that don't celebrate holidays or certain ones, and that's okay. Do you?
People don't realize, and not to cut you off, but people don't realize this. Y'all realize Juneteenth is now the nation's second Independence Day?
Right.
Y'all realize that? Juneteenth is the nation's second Independence Day. The first one, to me, don't even fucking count. Y'all stole that shit. There's more blood on people's hands because of the first Independence Day than there ever will be on Juneteenth. And the blood that's on your hands for Juneteenth, because of what Juneteenth represents, is a totally different type of blood stain than the blood stain you have for Independence Day. I'm not going to talk about it, but y'all can do y'all history because this podcast would be hell of a long. It'd be a long-ass podcast if I talked about all these fake-ass holidays that they wanted to create just to have holidays. And the meaning of them. I'm not going to talk about Easter and Christmas and everything else because, yeah. That's a longer conversation. But, hey, don't get it twisted. We going to have it.
The fact that they're just taking all of this historical information out of the education system and not educating our youth of today to understand why we have these holidays and these days and what they really truly mean is beyond fucking baffling to me.
People don't realize this country was built on black people's hands. This country was built on the hands of black people. Y'all can sit around and say, oh, we managed it. Y'all can say all the shit y'all want. Y'all can say all the glorious shit y'all want to say. And this is not about a black or white thing. But when it comes to Juneteenth and the celebration of freedom, y'all should be able to recognize that day just like y'all recognize Independence Day, Christmas, Halloween, fucking Groundhog's Day, St. Patrick's Day. What the fuck is that shit about? Columbus Day. Why the fuck is that even a holiday that we celebrate? I'm being dead ass serious. Why? We can celebrate Halloween. We can celebrate Christmas, and everybody say it was the birth of Christ. Last time I checked in the Bible, Christ was born in the springtime. Oh, this is another pagan holiday that people want to recognize. Just like Easter. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to get it together. Y'all got to stop trying to put these biblical dates on days in the calendar that don't match up. They don't match up. It's just, to me, it's disrespectful. Just as much as it's disrespectful to not recognize black people for the things that they've done, not just for this country, but while we're still living in this motherfucker, yet the disrespect goes without question, right? Let me get off of here, y'all.
Yeah.
It's been a podcast talking about the Emancipation Echoes, a celebration of freedom. I wanted to get on here and briefly talk about that because I was going to do it yesterday. I just didn't feel the urge. I couldn't do it.
Right.
But I did it today because I feel it's something that needed to be heard. And not everybody is going to want to listen to the podcast because of the title and because of what's being talked about. I will say this.
It's education. It's historical.
I will absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, in all reality, this is education and historical information about this now nationally recognized holiday. Period.
I agree. I think the significance and the culture traditions that we recognize we should all celebrate, because the different cultures and the diversity make us the United States of America.
Absolutely.
If you want to take this as my editorial, go right ahead. The diversity in this country should be all recognized by all people. If you don't like the people in your country, move the fuck out. That's what I said. I said what I said. Any words you got to say for the people before we get up out of here?
The only thing I can say is thanks for tapping in and tuning in with us on this Tuesday evening. For those who didn't catch us live, hit the replay, get some education and some historical events and knowledge, and make sure you all brush up on your history and know what you're talking about before you bring it to the internet.
I'm going to say that, yeah, real talk. Peace. I'm going to say this before we get up out of here. This podcast was originally created in the voice and the entertainment value and the energy of this guy right here. Brought my wife on because I have these conversations with my wife and I try to share them on the podcast. Just know this, things are changing. And when I mean things are changing, the look you see right here is a changing. The dynamic of how we put this information out is a changing. If you follow the podcast, you listen to the podcast, and you support the podcast, please note that big things are coming. And when they do come, I hope y'all still support me, because we coming with a banger. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to smile from ear to ear, but y'all don't know what's going to happen. But I'm telling y'all, we are coming with a banger. And what I mean by that is y'all got to stay tuned. Y'all really do. Some big things is about to happen. Changes, the look, the vibe, everything. It's coming.
Go support. Hit that bell. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please.
Yes, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please
share it with everybody.
Take the time and listen to the podcast. I'm not going to be an hour long on these podcasts. I'm going to keep it within 30 to 45 minutes. So please listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are building big things. Big things are coming. Go to the store. Check the Facebook link to get the merch. Additionally, one last thing before I throw this music in, because it gives me about a minute before I cut this shit off. Oh, thanks, producer. I would like to say this. We need to love and appreciate each other, because this is all we got. The love and appreciation I have, not just for my listeners, but the people that rock with me on the That's What I Said podcast, I'll forever be grateful. So please know, we are about to change the game. We are about to change the game of how you listen to podcasts and what content comes out on a podcast, because it's only going to be able to be the way I put it out. Real, raw, authentic conversation with no bullshit in between. With that being said, we up out of here like two slippers. Two slippers. Y'all already know what it is. We out. Peace. I said what I said.
Thanks for listening to another episode of That's What I Said with Cedric Sanders.
Bitch, what?
Make sure to like and subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.